Today we are working on the very last method of solving quadratic equations. So we already have done the factoring where you basically use the X puzzle and then you have the answer in parentheses equals 0 and then you're able to solve. And then we also did taking square root, which was square root on both sides, and then you solve. And then we also already have done using the quadratic formula. That was the very long formula of with negative b plus minus b squared minus 4ac over 2a. So the last one that we are working on today is the completing the square method. So completing the square method is used whenever you are unable to factor. It's pretty easy and it's much easier if your a value is 1. If its a value is not 1, you still will be able to solve using the steps. So another method for solving quadratic is called completing the square. So that goes in the blank. So my goal is to actually have the answer as a whole squared form, which kind of looks like x minus something squared or x plus something squared. So that's what my goal is, that I want to be over there. So x minus a number whole squared, or it could be x plus a number whole squared. So that's where I want to go. And then from there, I will be able to solve using taking the square root. So step number 1 is if a value is 1, good. If not, then you're actually going to divide by the a value, which is taking greatest common factor. Next step is you're going to move the constant, the c term, onto actually the other side. So if it's equals to 0, that c needs to go on the other side by the opposite operation. And then you actually are going to put a blank and put a blank. And what goes in the blank? We are going to find b over 2 whole squared. So b value over 2 whole squared, and that number goes in the blank on both sides. Because remember, in math, whatever you do on the left, you have to do on the right. Next, I'm gonna have a perfect square, whether with a minus or a plus. And then I'm gonna take the square root on both sides, simplify, and I will have the answer. So steps are not that bad. They're pretty much easy. And it's actually easier than quadratic formula because I will have my answer as the radical form, like involving a square root. And I will have the correct answer, or hopefully I will have the correct answer. So question number 1 is pretty much very easy because a value is 1. So I don't have to take any greatest common factor. This question would be much easier. So let me list out the values because I need to see those first. A equals 1, B equals -8, and C is equals to 12. Then first step is you are going to move that 12 on the other side. So I'm going to subtract 12 on both sides. So I'm left with x squared minus 8x. And then I'm going to actually have a value over here. So let's just first write -12 equals -12. So I'm over here. The step number 2 is draw a line over here so your steps are clean. Now I'm actually going to find b over 2 whole square. So b is -8. So plug it inside, and it's -8 over 2 whole squared, which is simplified. -8 over 2 is -4. So -4 whole square, which is 16. You need to pay attention to this number, which is over here, and this number. So I have -4 whole square as 16. Now that 16 actually is going to go over here as well as over here. This is a positive 16, so you have to put positive. So what you do is x squared minus 8x plus 16 equal -12 plus 16. So you see you added actually the b over 2 whole squared here. Now, if you look at this right-hand side, this is negative 12 plus 6. So negative 12 plus 16. Negative 12 plus 16 is actually equals to positive 4. So you just write it like this, positive 4. And if you pay attention to this part, this actually the whole reason for doing the b over 2 whole squared was I'm going to have a perfect square. So the perfect square over there is going to be x. This is minus, so you will actually have a minus. And then 16 was the perfect square of a 4. So this is 4 over there, whole squared. So I have x minus 4 whole squared equals 4. That's my equation by making it a perfect square or completing the square. So I have the squares. Now I'm going to be to the method where I do the completing square method, which is I'm going to take square root on both hand sides, there and there. When I do the square root, that square root is canceled by the square, so I'm left with x minus 4 equal, this is perfect square, square root of 4 is a perfect square of plus minus 2. So you need to know that. If I have a whole number, good, easy. If not, then I have to actually simplify by myself. I can't use a calculator. I cannot have a decimal value here. So plus minus 2 goes over here like that. Your step number 2 is you're going to add 4 over here since I'm solving for x. So you're going to add 4 on both sides as well. It goes over here in the first. I'm just going to write here plus 4. So x is equals to plus 2 plus 4, or second, x is equals to minus 2 plus 4. So x is 2 plus 6 is 8, or x is negative 2 plus 4 is a 2 whole. So your two values of x are 8 and 2, and those are my solutions, or the x-intercepts, or the zeros, or the roots. All right, let's do question number 2. You need to have a value as 1. So if I pay attention, I actually have a greatest common factor, which is 2. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide all of it by a. So let's make a list here first. A is right now 2. And so I'm going to divide everything by 2. 2 divided by 2 is a 1, so I'm left with x squared. 16 over 2 is 8x minus 80 over 2 is a 40 equal 0. So a value, this was old, a value 2. So I had to divide everything by 2. Now the new list is a is equals to 1, b is equals to negative 8, and c is equals to negative 40. In order to do the method, which is the completing the square method, c needs to be on the other side. So it should be plus 40 on both sides. When you do that, you're left with x squared minus 8x equal 40. I left the space because I'm actually going to put a number over here as well as here with the plus. Now what number goes over here? It is b over 2 whole squared. So b is negative 8. So negative 8 over 2 whole squared. Negative 8 over 2 is simplified. So it's PEMDAS. Inside it's solved first. Negative 8 over 2, or just use a calculator if you want to. Negative 8 over 2 is a negative 4. And then whole squared, which is actually positive 16. So I have the value, which is positive 16. So positive 16 goes over here. I already had the plus. So 16 goes on both sides. This is a perfect square of x minus whatever was inside, minus 4 whole squared, equal 40 plus 16. It is equals to 56. So I have 56 on the other side now. I have perfect square, so I can use the square root method. Means I'm gonna take square root on both sides. When I took the square root, squared is canceled by the root. I'm left with x minus 4 equals plus minus 56 square root. But 56 square root is not a perfect square. So what you are going to do is, you don't need the decimal value. You can't have the decimal value over here. No. So what you want to do is, you're actually going to simplify that 56 square root by the method of simplifying square roots. So I'm going to think of the perfect square. There's no point of using 1. So the next perfect square is 4, then 9, then 16. So let's see which one will work. So 4 multiplied by, I believe, 14. Yes, 4 times 14 is 56. That might work. 56, no, you can't multiply by 9, so that doesn't work. 56 and 16 also doesn't go together. So no. So the only number that I can use is this one. 4 times 14. So 56 square root is actually written as, I ran out of space, so let me see. So this is written as square root 4 and square root 14. Square root 4, the whole point was it is perfect square of a 2. That's why I used that number. And then 14. So 56 square root is actually equals to 2 whole square root 14. So x minus 4 is equals to plus minus 2 square root 14. I left the space because I want to move that 4. I'm going to put over here. This is a negative 4, so your step should be plus 4 here and plus 4 here. It goes in the front. So answer is x equals 4 plus minus 2 square root 14. That's your answer. So if you are unable to do the quadratic formula, you can actually do completing the square, because your answer is in the radical form, and that should be correct. So whatever the crazy decimals that you are seeing in your x-intercept values on the calculator, they must be equals to this part. So I did question number 1. You're going to do question number 2. So once you're done with the 1, stop and do the number 2. I did number 3. You have a similar example, 4. So you're going to do number 4. The last question I'm going to solve is number 5. So that you will have to do number 6, and then hopefully you will understand the topic. A is not 1, it is 4. So your first step is divide by 4, and hopefully it is divisible. If it's not divisible, you can't use this method. So you have to make sure that it is divisible and you have a whole number, otherwise you can't use this method. I'm going to draw a line over here because I need this space. 4 divided by 4 is an x squared, plus 24 over 4 is a 6x, minus 12 over 4 is a 3, equals 0. A is 1, B is 6, C is negative 3. All right, C needs to be on the other side. So I should do plus 3 here and plus 3 here. So I have x squared plus 6x equals 3. The next step is I need number that goes over here, which is going to be b over 2 whole squared. B is a 6, so 6 over 2 whole squared. 6 over 2 is a 3. So 3 whole squared is 9. So 9, gonna go over here with the, this is positive 3, so it should go with a plus 3. Plus. So plus 9 here and plus 9 here. All right, now 3 plus 9 is a 12, so you can simplify the right-hand side first. This is 12, and then this is a perfect square of x plus this number inside. So what goes over here is practically this number that you had the perfect square or you had the square for. 3, that means 2. In previous question, it was -4, so you added a -4. In the previous question, you had a -4 as well, so you put a -4 over here to make it a whole square. Now I have a perfect square, and then I'm gonna do is square root on both sides. When I did square root on both sides, square cancels the square root, so I'm left with x plus 3 here. And that 12 is not a perfect square, 16 is. So I have to actually simplify that 12, and I can think of 4 times 3 is 12, and 4 is a perfect square. So this is 4 and 3. Just write it out separately, it's okay. So this is simplified as square root 4 and 3. Square root 4 is equals to 2. So 12 square root is equals to 2 whole square root 3. Plus minus, of course. So I'm gonna put plus minus 2 square root 3 here. After this step, I need to solve for x. That means I need to get rid of that plus 3, so it should be minus 3 here and minus 3 here, because remember it needs to go in the front. So x is equals to -3 plus minus 2 whole square root of 3. And this can be simplified further, so that's my answer. You can always match your answer using the x-intercepts in the calculator. Match answer using Desmos. You need to look for x-intercepts, because these numbers values are the x-intercepts and they should match. All right, so go ahead, finish these notes. This one definitely is a little easier as compared to the quadratic formula that was also giving you the radicals, but this one is also giving you radical, but this is much easier to get there. Finish all questions.